Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Magnificently Made Mondays. I'm not in my usual setup, so I don't have any of the props behind me because we're in a construction mode around here. I'm so excited to bring on my good friend, Maureen Spataro, who is an author of Press Pause. She is a podcast host of Unsilenced, Unsilenced, Unashamed, Unafraid.
No. Unstoppable.
Unstoppable. I knew I should have written that down. Today and every Monday, what we're doing is that I'm bringing on fellow authors of the book Magnificently Made. It's an anthology of 33 women with amazing stories. They've opened up their hearts and they just, we all wrote and contributed in hopes of, actually, we all healed ourselves in the process. And we want to help you all feel not alone. It's going to be a beautiful book. It's coming out 11/11. It's a hardcover, beautiful satin pagers, colors. It's going to be fabulous. Every time I learn more about another chapter, because all of us have not read each other's chapters. We've only gotten little hints.
Right.
So the more it goes, it's like so exciting. So everybody welcome our good friend, Maureen Spataro. Okay, now, the name of your
my chapter.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. I was saying title. The name of your title. Oh my God, really crazy.
What I didn't know have been my greatest lessons.
So I was just teasing you because I messed up the other.
I know. I was going to say nobody knows that you couldn't remember my podcast title, which is understandable, but I couldn't even remember the title of my chapter a while ago.
You got it. So Maureen, people who are not, who are on here listening, tell them a little bit about you.
About me? Well, yeah. I think you said everything. I mean, I'm an author. I'm a public speaker. I contributed to this book. I am now dipping my toe into the book fair world. I'm hosting a book fair in December. And most importantly, I am a willing survivor of domestic and sexual violence. So that's me in a nutshell. Oh, and I'm the proud mom of an Army JAG captain. So I always have to say that.
Yes, Kayla is amazing. Yeah, because I wanted to get it in that she's a female. So that
she is a female, yes.
Yes.
Very important.
So hi, Risa. So tell everybody, I think so. Your chapter is kind of a prequel.
It is because, so my mom has stage 4 metastatic kidney cancer from 9/11, and she has been living with it for over 10 years now. But as time went on, because I love to write, and that's the way that I kind of express myself, I started to put on the funny little stories that I had and the experiences that we had together on my Facebook page, and started calling it Life with Ronnie, because she did come in and move in with me. And it just kind of took off a little bit. So yeah, that'll be my next book next year, will be Life with Ronnie. And it'll be a larger compilation of some of those stories and the stories that I haven't told.
Yeah, and so we all enjoyed those little clips of Ronnie. I've met your mother a few times. I love her. She's funny. She's gives great advice. She listens. But, when you wrote this book last year, the chapter, you didn't think Mom would be here with us.
No.
Tell them, as a cancer survivor myself, and, people here, you have 6 weeks to live.
Yeah. Yeah. We had gotten to the point where my mom could no longer have treatments. The treatment that had kind of really allowed her to live her best life for so many years had kind of reached its level of assistance, I guess. And she had to come off of that. And, slowly but surely, the doctors were kind of letting us know that there wasn't a lot that was going to be left that they could do to help. And their suggestion was to concentrate on her quality of life. But what they told us at that point was that it would only be for another 6 to 8 weeks. And of course, we were devastated because we went from, well, most people would never even know that she had cancer to now suddenly we have this very short timeline. And that was actually in August. So we were, coming out of the summer and looking at the holidays and thinking, ooh, she's not going to be here for Christmas. And so we just kind of sped up life a little bit. We were getting together every weekend. We were just kind of enjoying every minute that we could. But the miraculous thing was my mom just kind of decided she was going to live on faith and her humor. And here we are 13 months later. And she, nothing really has changed in terms of her mindset, her attitude. I mean, there are some things that have changed that we all have noticed. And I'm sure that physically and emotionally, she's going through changes that she keeps private. Believe it or not, my mother does not like to share a lot about her life, which is where I step in. But yeah, 13 months later, and, we're talking about Thanksgiving, we're talking about Christmas, talking about a wedding that's coming up. We're just living. We're not thinking about time frames, but she taught us that. We were really stuck in a lot of sadness and fear for a few months. And then as that time frame kind of just faded away and we hit the new year, I think we all kind of hit that mindset of, live like Ronnie and just live. Don't think about the bad. So it's been wonderful.
And do you think that's the difference?
Yes. Her mindset is incredible, but it's contagious. It's contagious because you really can't complain about anything when you know the circumstances. And I do see all the good days, but I see some of the rough days. So it's humbling to think I really can't complain about anything or worry about anything when I have this miracle sitting in front of me every single day. And just listening to what the doctor said, following their advice, which is not easy advice. I don't know that a lot of people could sit on a couch with their legs up 22 hours out of 24 hours a day. But, she gets her little trips to bingo. And when we have a family gathering, we travel to it. And it's just really been, it's been a wonderful way to be able to spend a lot of time with her, one-on-one. So yeah, it's all in the mental attitude, I think, and her spirituality.
That's, have you watched the Netflix show? I forget what it's like, Living to 101. I forgot the name of it. It just came out.
I haven't. I've seen it, but I haven't.
And he goes around and he studies octogenarians, people over 80 in all these countries and people over 100, right?
Yeah.
And the secrets to their long life.
Okay.
And one of the secrets is attitude and faith.
Yes.
And then the other, faith.
100%. I mean, her faith has always been strong. I mean, like everyone else, she's had moments in her life where she's struggled with it, but all in all, her faith has always been strong. And her feeling of, you know what, when it's my time, it'll be my time. It kind of helped just push all of that fear and all those questions to the side. Like, we'll know when it happens. Until then, let's just have fun.
So yeah, and she does have fun.
She does.
And did you write your chapter for other children, or what was your reasoning? Who'd you write for?
I think well, I know when I actually was writing it, I wrote it from anger. I was feeling, because we were still in that 6 to 8 week time frame. So I was angry about some of the things that I had learned that I didn't know. I was sad. And then as I kept looking at it and looking at it, I realized, and I dedicated the chapter to anyone who is a caretaker. There's no rules. that doesn't come with any rules. And when you start that journey, you're very hard on yourself. You're very scared. The smallest thing that doesn't go the way you think it should will, for me, I would just dissolve in tears. I would, be so, hard on myself. Well, why didn't you know that? And you should have known that. And you should be reading up on this more. So I did end up dedicating it to people who are caretakers, because it's, they say to care for those who who once cared for us is one of life's greatest blessings. But like every blessing, it comes with some work. So you have to figure it out. You have to figure it out. It's like being a mom in a different way. Like, I'm not her mother. She's my mother. But when it comes to having to care for her in a way that I want to always look back on and feel proud of, and that I did my very best, that takes time.
So what one tip would you give somebody who's, just in the early throes of being a caregiver for somebody with cancer?
You really have to take it one day at a time. I know that sounds so cliche, but every day you wake up, especially in the beginning, you are going to learn something new. There is going to be something that you look at and go, oh, I'm gonna have to remember that for the next time, or oh, I can't believe I didn't even think of that. My mom is on hospice care, so her nurse just comes once a week just to check in on her, and I think she comes to check on her, have a cup of tea, and a 3-hour conversation, because they get along so well. But you have to be really, really kind to yourself and understand that it's a process. And you're not going to really know what to do until something comes up. And if you don't do it in the way that you think you should have, or you do it in a way that actually makes you angry or chastise yourself, then you have to immediately come out of that mindset, because it'll carry through to everything. So just be kind to yourself. It's okay. We can't be perfect.
Yeah. I think, that's a great piece of advice. And I think for me, watching other people, and like people with like dementia and Alzheimer's, that I see that they need to take a break and allow themselves to take a break and go have fun.
Mm-hmm. You do. You have to.
Mom, you have to get out there. You can't be 24/7. You need to take a break and treat yourself and spoil yourself. And
you do. You do have to remember not to say no to every invitation, because you're going to want to. There are some days when you're going to be exhausted, and it's not because you did all that much. It's not because, well, I was running around all day, or it's just going to be, maybe it was a hard day. Maybe you were thinking a lot of things. Maybe you were feeling a lot of things. And because you have to constantly pivot and adjust to what may or may not be happening. Sometimes you have to give so much that you don't recognize the really good days. And you think, no, I got to do this, I got to do that. And then you're like, oh, no, everything's good. We're in a quiet period, so I can relax again. So yeah, you do have to remember to take time for yourself. And, but it's going to be hard, and you're going to lose people. You're going to lose people. You're going to lose friends. You're going to lose, it's inevitable, because until you're doing it, you just don't know the amount of time it takes. And That's the other thing you have to forgive yourself for, because I have not been a perfect friend. I have not remembered things. I have only dealt with things as they're right in front of my face. And I have forgotten things that were on the other side, where it's like, oh gosh, I forgot that. And oh, I can't, and you have to be kind to yourself as well for that, for not being, maybe not being able to be the friend that you usually were. And but this is life,
I think,
as
yeah. And Maureen, in life, there's always going to be,
yes.
each friend's going to take a different time, either
Mhm.
being needy
Yes.
or being gracious, right? Or,
Yes.
like you can't, sometimes it just goes up and down. Like I had a conversation with a friend the other day, and she's like, "Oh, when you coming to meet me again? I promise not to complain the whole time." But she needed me that day,
Right.
um, but we can't be perfect. And when you're friends, you have to realize that, like, shit happens. And
And you don't know what's going on in other people's lives.
no,
There
no,
may be a reason why they have no patience for you, or they can't give you grace, or, because you don't know what's going on in their life.
no.
Maybe the only grace they can give is to themselves.
I think, anybody, even like on social media, like, we're like, oh, looking like at this perfect world and what everybody
Yeah,
is, and that does not exist.
it doesn't.
Like,
It
unless it's
doesn't.
like living with somebody in their bedroom, like, you have no idea what's really going on.
Right. No, you're 100% right. So, yeah, that's why I say it's one day at a time. Give yourself, be your own best friend, because on some days it's going to feel like that's the only best friend you have. So, yeah.
So what's one thing that you wish you would have known that you can share from the book, from the anthology book?
There's so many things. There's so many
You can do more
things.
than one, but
Well,
your chapter away, just give a little.
um,
I know you shared the one story, when you were at my house and we had people here for for the pre-sale event.
yeah, I had told one part of it, when I had to. I mean, my mom still can do a lot of things on her own. For that, I'm very grateful. But I have to prepare certain things. So if she's going to take a shower, or she's going into the bath, you want to prepare things. You want to make sure everything is okay. So I remember thinking, oh, I'm gonna warm the towels, so when she comes out, she can wrap the towels around her and she can be nice and warm. And I had a towel for the floor, and I had a towel to wrap herself in, and I had a small little face towel, and I'm like, okay, great. And I didn't realize that she was going to need to sit down before she took her shower. And I was devastated, because I hadn't thought to warm the towels before she went into the bathroom. And it was a moment where I just like, you're so stupid in my head. But I'm like, no, okay, it's good. It's great. All right, let me know if you need help. And I walked out, and before I could even close the door, I was already crying. And then I started to cry so hard I had to go in the basement, and just like scream, because, your mother is the person who takes care of you. Your mother is the person that you look toward for answers. How do I do this? Or what should I do about that? Or do you think this is a good idea? And when you're in this phase of life, there are some things you can't go to them for, and you have to think on your feet. And sometimes we just can't think quick enough, or we think we thought of everything and nothing. You're just like, wow, you really thought you were handling that well, and you just blew it. So,
I give you props for even thinking about warming a towel. I don't think I would. So I think, you did great.
Yeah, I think the other thing that really I was taken aback with were her doctors. Um, there were a couple of times when she first came off the treatment where she did get very sick and she did have to go into the hospital. And her condition was, her condition was bad. She was struggling. And I couldn't believe how angry I could get with the doctors because here she is, she's exhausted, she's tired, she's medicated, she's probably been up all night. And, they just come in the room and they're walking in and they're already talking very loudly, which you understand that a lot of people can't hear them. So they do have to talk loud. They come in and like they just throw the curtain back. And I'm sitting in the chair looking at them and I'm watching her, jump up because she's been startled. And, there's 5 or 6 other associates behind them and they're just talking about her like she's not there. And when they have a question, they're looking at me. And I will tell you with Ronnie, that's a big no-no. Ronnie, no matter how sick she is, will look at you, will turn her face around and look at the doctor and go, don't talk to her, talk to me. I'm right here. But it was shocking to me how bad their bedside manner was and how much it was like, you're just treating her like she's just another person in a bed. And you're about 3 seconds away from me jumping off this chair and jumping on you. The anger and it's disappointing. It's disappointing because this is someone that you love, like you desperately love. And this is a woman who's doing everything you've told her to do, and you're not even showing her the smallest kindness or the smallest respect. So that was very shocking to me. That was very shocking to me.
Yeah. I think that caretakers, they just have to get into the regiment, right? Like they're like, come on. Like, and they have to do so many things in the computer now. Like it's taken a little bit of that part out, depending on the role and if they're teaching and, it's like, oh, I got to do this or I take notes. I got to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of like, it used to be like, God knows what our doctor said to us way back when and nothing was on record. And
right. Exactly.
there in the chapter, in my chapter, I talk about the young doctor talking to us before Michael's surgery and saying, you don't really need to meet the surgeon. He doesn't really have good bedside manner. Like, so don't worry. Like, he is who he is. There's nothing about it. And then he came an hour later and explained the surgery to us. And I was just like, oh, thank God for that other kid. Like, like this young doctor who it's like, cause I would have been like, I don't know where I would have been at that point. Cause I would have been so afraid and nervous.
Right.
So yeah, I think, even with like Kayla being a lawyer, right? And Michael being a fireman, you always want to be like, don't lose that part. Right.
Which can be very hard when you're someone who helps other people.
Yeah.
It can be very, very hard because I'm sure it takes an emotional toll on them very early in their careers. So they have to learn how to put up a wall and just be very factual. But, there has to be a happy medium. I'm not saying, come in and hug her or tickle her feet, but, look at her. Look at her. She's here. And if I need to, if she's missed something, then I will say, just give me a moment and make sure that I explain it. But she's perfectly capable.
Does mom like enjoy going to the doctor and going, I'm still here kind of thing?
Well, she doesn't go anymore because when you're on hospice care, you're totally in their care. So you don't see your doctors anymore. It's all about staying comfortable. But it is nice because every now and then she will hear from her oncologist. She got a card from him and she has called once or twice and they were so happy to hear from her. So yeah. And then you also understand why doctors don't like to give a timeline. like that doctor that gave us that timeline resisted it at first. But, my mom wanted to know, she said, tell him he can be honest. And he gave his honest assessment, but he also, he's like, but, anything I've seen, miraculous things happen. So, so when the doctor can't give you a timeline, don't be so angry at him if he can't.
Right. Another thing on the Netflix show about living over 100 was that the areas he went, there was no such thing as a nursing home. They
Yes.
lived with the family, and
Yes.
how like not being lonely really helps.
I agree with that. I agree with that 100%. I know that there are some people that require that round the clock care. And for some people, it's just not possible for them to have a relative come and live with them because of their own circumstances.
Mhm.
But I do believe that my mom being here and not living alone, I do think that's part of it. I think it's a combination of so many things that she was kind enough to agree to, because Ronnie's from Brooklyn and Ronnie wasn't ever leaving Brooklyn.
Now she's a Jersey girl.
Now, yes. So, there were compromises that had to be made. And like I said, there are things that she has to do on a daily basis that I don't know. I don't know how many people would want to do those things. But, she said, if that's what I have to do, then that's what I'm going to do. And it's a combination of her, her stubbornness and her willingness. It's a great combination.
It's beautiful. I think your chapter is beautiful. I read your chapter. I think it's really going to help anybody who's going through loss, a cancer diagnosis, to understand and to forgive themselves. So I think that you've given us all a gift.
Thank you.
Really, really. And so everybody can just go to MaureenSpataro.com to purchase it and link, do you have that booklet link up?
I don't have the link up, but I tell them where they can email to get a copy of it.
Or they can go to magnificentlymade.net.
Yes.
And there's 33 authors up. So there's one thing on the bottom that, like, if you can't decide who you want to give the credit to, and then you can go to every individual author, read the stories, and then go back to your friend and go to their page and purchase the book, so that it's a way of, we're not selling on Amazon. We would have been a bestseller already. We've sold thousands of copies. So it's a really, really great thing. So now tell everybody about your event. Well, I want to hear these last few minutes.
Oh, the book fair?
Yeah.
I just, one of the things about being an author is, there's a lot of work that goes into trying to market it. And there isn't anyone on the outside that's helping you do that. A lot of writers go into it mistakenly thinking that's the publisher's job, but it's not. The publisher gets you through the process, gets that book in your hands, and maybe we'll set up a signing here and there. But when it comes to publishing that book and getting it out there, especially if you're an independent author or one from a smaller publishing house, it's very, very hard. And I think I just heard it from enough of some of the authors that are in the book, and then just from writing Press Pause and talking to people. And I thought, I'm going to do a book fair, and I put it on one page. I put it on the Asbury Park page, and we sold out in less than a week. We sold out all the spots. So
how many authors are you going to have?
Right now we have 30.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we have 30 authors, and we're going to have a story time, and each author is going to get 5 minutes to get up on the stage and introduce themselves and talk a little bit about their book. And I have a waiting list, and if I can get enough people on the waiting list, then I'll rent another space that's in the venue and make it bigger. But yeah, I'm really, really excited because, we work hard.
Are they going to have like booths set up as well, or
they have their own spaces, their own tables, and they can decorate it. And I'm, keeping my fingers crossed that it's the first of many.
That sounds wonderful. And what's the date?
December 2nd at the Jersey Shore Art Center.
Love it. Love
Yeah.
it. Yeah,
Thank you.
Natalie and Risa have been watching along and commenting. Yes, Natalie, her books are ordered, and we can't wait to get your book too, Natalie. And Risa's another fellow author.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that is so exciting. I think that's amazing opportunity that you've given everybody.
I just couldn't believe the response, but it just showed me that, yeah, we all need help doing this. And if we can create that kind of a community and give each other opportunities and get to know each other and each other's work, then why not? I mean, there's enough to go around, and there are enough genres, and you know, it's a great community.
So where do you see this going?
Well, I already said that I plan on having one at Raritan Center and one in AC. That's where I see it going. I want it to grow. I really want it to grow. I want it to become something that authors feel is a good avenue for them.
Okay. And what's the official title of it?
For this one, it's the writer's block. I decided because, like, I was thinking we're all living on the same block and we're all writers. So the writer's block holiday book fair.
Okay. So you think writer's block is the name you're going to go with?
Yes, you'll start seeing more of that.
I like it because it's like you have writer's block.
Where you can live on the writer's block. Come visit us on our block.
I like that. Very, very smart.
Thank you.
So tell everybody where they can find you on social media, how they can buy your other book, Press Pause, as well.
They can go to my website. My website only took 100 years. Maureen Spataro.
You did it. That's all.
I did it. MaureenSpataro.com. I'm on Instagram at Maureen Spataro, because she is, but it's BC she is, to shorten it a little bit. And I'm on LinkedIn under Maureen Spataro.
That is great.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for
coming
and joining us. Like who? Me and the ghost behind me? I don't know who the us is.
Us is the 32 other authors, because we're going to have all of us on, right?
Yes. Yeah, that is the goal. So I'll have everybody on every Monday at 7-Eleven for 33 minutes in honor of our 33 authors.
Love it.
Next week is Danielle, I think, is on. Danielle, how do you say her name? Here?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that she's signed up for next week. So
that's wonderful. I can't wait to see them all.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing this for us.
Yeah. You know, I like talking just as much as you do. So, okay. So everybody, you can go to magnificentlymade.net and purchase the book. It's coming out 11/11. 33 stories with 33 different women who emptied their hearts out. There's all different topics. There's 11 sections of the book, split into 3. So it's from love to loss to
everything.
So I'm sure you'll connect to it. Definitely. It's going to make a great gift for your girls. So like Risa has been reaching out, if you have any book clubs and you would like to have us partake, any of us will gladly hop on Zoom with your book club. We can get a bunch of us on to help you and talk about it. And we could start a little chat up with your friends. So
awesome.
Yeah. So thank you, everybody. And have a good night, Maureen. And
thank you too, love.
Give Ronnie a big hug and a kiss.
I will.
Okay. Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.